Tabletops will start after the following messages.
Are you the kind of person or unspeakable nightmare horror who likes actual play podcasts, but occasionally wants a break from all the high fantasy heroics? If so, you should check out Negative Modifier, an actual play podcast that specializes in darker, more mature games. You can find us on YouTube, Twitch, and more or less anywhere else podcasts can be found.
Welcome back to Tabletop, everyone. Today we are talking about road trips. We getting in our Cadillac Trans Am and we're crossing this country. We're gonna grow up. We're gonna become people.
Fuck? A Cadillac? If you're doing a road trip, you need an SUV. I don't know what the fuck you're doing.
What about like a pickup truck?
How many people are you road tripping with? If it's just two people, fine.
What about three? What if it's one of those trucks that has like the front two seats?
Extended cab?
It has,
No, an extended cab is super comfortable. You can do three people in an extended cab.
Totally. Yeah, and then you have all the back space for all the stuff.
All the bed, yeah.
Making my way downtown, going
what's really
on a
fun?
road trip.
We used to make a lot of trips, and my father had a Bronco, and he would put a futon in the back, two futons, so they would curve up, and me and my sister would just like be in the back, stretched out with like pillows and blankets, and we would just like ride. And
That's cute.
yeah, it was very cute.
Did you get car sick ever?
No, not from that.
That's good.
That is good. Today we're going to be talking about road trips. So the reason why we started talking about this
We're on the road right now.
Yeah, we're actually, can you hear it?
Yeah, we're driving out to...
Shit. Guys, we're in this together. Just, that was a deer. That was a deer.
Wow, we're all murderers now.
Shane likes to go dark. He goes dark so fast.
We have a term for that in the improv community because I was getting blasted for that.
Yeah.
It's not yes and, I can tell you that.
It is called dark prov.
Yeah.
Whenever improv gets dark, which it very often does with new people, they're like, my mom's dead. And you're like, oh, okay, this is a weird scene.
How do we deal with this? Yeah.
Anyway, but I wanted to talk a little bit because, Rio, you were bringing up a new thing that you were super interested in, which is called ultraviolet
Grasslands.
Ultraviolet Grasslands.
I always want to say wastelands. I don't know why. Is
Probably
there a sequel?
Fallout has a lot of wastelands, and Borderlands has a lot of wasteland.
There's
a lot of wastelands.
because it's Ultraviolet Grasslands 2.0 right now, second edition.
Oh, okay.
This is the second edition.
Wait, are
It's
we
the
in
latest one?
2.0 or did we get the first edition books?
No, we have the second
We have
edition.
the second?
books.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is like, but it's like a whole media package. There's like a show, there's books.
Huh?
Right? You were talking
No.
about?
No, it's one single
What the fuck are you
RPG
talking
project.
about?
There's another
my
thing
God, what
that
were
you
we
were talking
talking
about
about?
recently, Rio.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to look that up real quick. But it was this art book.
And it was a person
Oh, the
crossing-
Electric State.
There
There
we
it
go.
is. Okay, so it's both of those two things together made you start thinking about running road trips as a full campaign, correct?
Right, yeah.
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 And so we thought, what a great episode. We're going to jump into it. But first, is there anything someone wants to talk about? Has anyone ever run a purely road trip campaign before?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
Great. End of episode.
All right,
Yep.
great. We have no expertise. Let's get out of
So
here.
you
in
don't
this
listen to us.
car, that definitely didn't hit anyone. We have Nick,
Yes.
Franco, Rio, and Shade.
Shade's driving. Wait, Shade. I think maybe I didn't get...
I have one job, is to get the intros in, and I never do.
He's the navigator. I'm in the back with Rio.
I'm HR, I guess.
I'm behind Shade because I'm too tall to be behind Nick. Oh wait, we're the same height.
Are we all the same height?
Yeah, we're pretty.
No,
you're
Nick,
slightly taller.
What's wrong with you?
Nick, you tower over everyone I've ever met.
Well, no, you're 6'1".
He's like 6'7". He's like a.
I am a Goliath that strides this world.
He's a romance.
Okay, one second. We're standing up.
Yeah, this is good audio.
He's a romance character from.
I guess I'm a little taller than Shade, but I always view
He's
us
like-
as the same.
You're just
Are we the
slightly
same?
taller.
I think we might be
You're
the same.
6'1"ish.
Yeah, 6.5.
Yeah. So yeah.
6.5.
And.
So yeah.
He's.
That's so weird. I feel like you're a lot taller than me.
I just always assume I'm the
Well,
same height
it
as
all
everyone
has to do
around
with
me.
posture and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, I know you have great posture.
You have
I'm
great
not saying that.
This is the thing.
I?
You have great posture, and I have bad posture. So
So when he
level
stands up
out.
straight, it feels...
Yeah, but then why do I think that you're really tall?
Maybe it's like a
Maybe I'm
self-esteem
stupid.
thing.
Yeah, you're probably right. Actually, I have
We've
pretty
got
low
so
self-esteem.
great with this
Same, man.
episode,
I think that
guys.
I'm the same height.
It could
as
just be
you.
the male gaze. You see Nick and you think he's just super tall. He's like, I wish I was tall.
So
I'm okay with my height.
I also have a stepdad who is 6'7".
Whoa.
Yeah, so I'm always short.
Yeah, don't
I
step
am
to that,
short.
Dad.
Yeah.
Man,
He'll
he
step on
literally-
you.
He literally had this
Jesus
thing. So
Christ.
my childhood friend Zach. Hey Zach, if you're listening, he isn't. But,
Wow. Devastating.
I
that's
know,
why he's
right?
a childhood friend.
We've drifted apart over the years.
I can't believe you guys both. Okay, we have to get back in the car because you guys stopped to. We pulled over for you guys to stand up next to each
Before
other.
we do, what was I saying?
I don't know.
Something
Something about your
Your
friend Zach.
stepfather has a bit.
Oh, yeah, my stepfather has a bit with my friend Zach where every time he sees him, he goes, Zach, in this deepest, most gravelly, scary voice because he's towering over him. And
How
my
tall
friend
is Zach? Like 4'7"?
Zach is also like 6'3", 6'4". It's like literally the only person
It's
taller
honestly
than him.
extra funny that way. Yeah.
That's better. Yeah, that's even better.
It's just very funny. Anyway, we're talking about road trips. We're getting back in the car.
Great.
I don't know if this car's going to make it.
Yeah, I think we're out of gas. But why don't we talk about this
we
road trip
barely
we're
made it
on?
past Worcester.
Nobody makes it past West.
So,
We've been on the road for 5 minutes and we've covered so much ground, guys.
to focus in your point.
Yes.
So, The Electric State is a coffee table photo book.
Yeah.
This guy does digital art. Simon Stalenhag.
Okay.
That's got that little thing over the A, so I'm not really sure how to pronounce that.
Sure.
But he had a couple of books. There's like a Built World. I've only read The Electric State.
Yeah.
Which is about this girl and her robot trying to get across the country to San Francisco.
But like in a post-apocalyptic sort of.
And after a war that has happened between the people and a major corporation.
I was gonna say there's like a lot of mascots.
So there's a lot. So the mascots were like these corporate droids that got turned into. They never go into the details about what the war was about, how it was fought, but the remnants are these huge, like, what's his name? The big boy kind of mascot you see in like Fast. He's always got his hands up.
Big boy, isn't it?
I think it's Big Boy.
Yeah, Big
But you have like androids that
From
kind of
Outcast.
that kind of look like that.
Yeah.
And there's this thing called a. I really wish I know we were talking about Electric State. I would have brought some stuff up. But there's these neurocasters that people wear, and they get addicted to being inside the hive mind.
Yeah.
And so they still act, and they like live in this like VR world, the meta. People get addicted, but our protagonist can't interact with them because she has an eye defect or an eye mutation that means that the lasers don't hit her in the right way, so she's free from it.
Love that.
And basically, her mom was a super addicted and died from from staying in the VR too long.
And thus has to get out on the road to get to
Well,
San Francisco.
she's in this whole step, like there's a whole foster care system, but like again, they don't tell you too much. It's all about the art and the vibes. And so you go on this journey. You watch her. She's trying to avoid crowds of people. She's trying to avoid the police, but the police are often like abandoned their posts and have gone off somewhere.
Yeah.
Like the chaos is still happening.
Get
but
fucking donuts.
we're only seeing this one girl try to make it to her destination.
And this is
Coming from South California to like Northern California.
Yeah.
So it's set in the Pacifica
Gotcha.
specifically. So not cross country exactly.
Gotcha. But this inspired
Specifically.
you to be like, I want to think
But yeah, it's
about
like-
road trips.
Yeah, if you're trying to go from one place to another and like there's all this stuff that could potentially like cause you grief, but the point of the quest isn't to save the world or to find this relic. It's like, I really just wish I was somewhere else.
Yeah.
But getting there is so dangerous. That's the story.
Yeah.
But it could improve your well-being. I believe because this and her, she's trying to actually find her brother.
Right.
So it's like, oh, I'm alone, but I have a brother that we got separated in the foster care. I know he's somewhere there. I'm going to go look for him there. And so that's her journey. Like, how do I reconnect with like the one person I have left?
Right.
I'm willing to risk this whole trip for that.
Yeah. And so one of the things about road trips that I think it's hard to gamify is the traveling part of them. But I
Right.
think that they actually fit pretty neatly into a TTRPG like session structure of like, you've been on the road, you stop to get your car repaired, like a tire's blown or something.
Right.
It's in the garage. You have 2 days here at this place.
Yeah, the adventures come from the pit stops along the way.
Yeah.
You need food, but there's these weird people there, and so it's like a social encounter.
Picking your routes as well.
Yeah, picking
Finding your
routes.
routes.
So-
what random things happen, whether like having to like if you have to hunt for food, what kind of monsters exist in this, like if you're playing in like a Fallout game, irradiated bugs can attack you.
Do you
at any
have
time.
vehicles? Do you have mounts? Are you just on foot?
Yeah. Also,
Do you need fuel?
the thing about it that I think is tough is that, like, I like the picking of the routes. I like sort of using other kind of like more RP based mechanics to get from place to place, and then having the main encounters happen at the spaces. But how are you going to force people to stop in and interact with the fiction and the hubs that you've kind of made?
Well, I think
if they,
I would steer hard away from the word force.
Well, the main thing I was going to say is that, like, if they have this end goal, like, you kind of have to force them to stop heading to their end goal. Otherwise, they'll just keep going.
I think
know what I mean?
you just tug on their resources.
Yeah, you can tug on
It's
resources,
like,
you can tug
you
on
need
whatever.
food, you need medicine, you need
They're taking risks.
supplies. Yeah.
Yeah. And
If they go like full on and they're just like, we have to make it before dawn or whatever for whatever reason, then like
Or
it's different.
I've not
and it
talked about
becomes
this.
much riskier.
Yeah.
I've
when
talked
you
about
get to
this
the end.
before, but like in Days Gone, the story starts with like your 2 main guys. Like, oh god, I can't think of their names.
Philip and Eleanor.
So your character that you're playing and his buddy are about to head north. They're just tired of being in the part of the country they're in. They're just like, let's just go north over to the mountains and see what life has for us there. They need a fuel injector. While getting the fuel injector, he gets the NPC gets a bad burn on his arm. So now you're like, okay, the pit stop is this little town that has a mechanic shop that needs a full injector. Getting through that town, that's an adventure. Your friend gets hurt. That's something that the DM pulls on. Like, okay, now you have to figure out. You can't leave yet because he can't drive his bike. You need to figure out ways to get him medicine, get recovered. You're stuck until you can figure this out.
And this is what I mean by like forcing
Yeah.
stop is like, hey, you have your friend's burns, you need medicine or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I think that I've just always had trouble getting people to care about pit stops on the way somewhere.
Well, I
know
think
what mean?
that's part of like session 0. It's like this game is about the journey,
Yeah.
not the destination at all. So like,
Right.
if you're not willing to like stop and explore, this game's gonna be very dull.
Yeah. And like, so how would, if you all were going to run this, like, what are you as a referee or a GM? Like, what are you trying to set up? What are you trying to bring into a session 1 or session 0 to get people an understanding and like a basic framework of how this game is going to work?
I think the first thing you need is to, what map are you using?
Yeah.
How far away is point A to point, we'll call it Z, because we're gonna put a lot of stuff in the middle.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to like put different things on the map and like what information you're gonna give. There's a truck stop here. There's a small town there. You want to try the small town? More resources, but more zombie problems, or the truck stop. You might not be able to find anything because it's very small, but it's a lot safer to try the truck stop.
Yeah.
So you can kind of like, and that's the route picking that Franco was talking about earlier. You put all these things down, you plot out what you want to go, and then that constantly will change as they go.
You know what would be super cool actually is if you bought one of those old like road atlases that's like each of the states with all of the roads and everything, and you just like say we start in Maine, maybe you pull out the main map and you're like, okay, draw me where you go. Like what roads are you taking? Do you stop anywhere? Like what's going on?
I have this like big topographical map of Georgia that was left behind somewhere.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to use that for
You
something.
should,
too.
man. That'd be so cool.
You know what I've always, I wish, because you go to State Park and they have that little like miniature model map. This is our park. And I was like, oh, I want to steal one of those so bad.
Yeah.
I took one of those. It wasn't stolen. It was like they just gave us these. It was for like this like ski resort place that I went to, and it's just like this map that has like rivers on it and stuff, and like where the mountains are and where all the roads are. And I was like, I kind of want this to be like a game map somehow. And so I've held on to that. I also got a souvenir mag from from the 10,000 gates in Japan, like that place with like those cool like torii gates, those like big orange gates, and there's like 10,000 of them or whatever. There's this really like beautiful little like illustration basically of the whole area.
Yeah.
With all the mountains and all the towns and stuff like that. So I think like inspiration can really be found in like souvenir maps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, like, another thing that I have a hard time like setting up in this game, like I'm kind of brewing one in my head as we talk, but what is the driving force to keep them moving? Because I think Shade, you and I were talking about this as like you need a clock for a road trip.
Yeah.
Where you need to be at the destination by X time, go kind of thing. Yeah. Because otherwise I think that it would just end up being more like how you were talking about running your OSR games where it's we're just exploring.
I have like a big hex map.
Well, that's
whatever.
Well, that's the thing. Like in the Electric State, it's like your brother is there.
Yeah.
That's the draw. Like nothing's more important than finding your brother, no matter what you hit along the way.
So how would you do that for a group of characters? Do you think
you would have to again? That's the session 0. What do you as a group want at this location?
Yeah, like what
Let
do
the
you
players
want in San
decide
Diego?
what it is.
Yeah.
As the DM, I wouldn't try to like invent that.
Yeah.
Unless it was like, there's an oil leak and you have the tools to stop it. You have to get there to stop it.
I think you still could though.
You could.
I think you could definitely like have like a group goal, but I think it's true. Like it can definitely be something that there should obviously be a goal of some kind that
like
they want.
I guess in the first season, Walking Dead, right? They're trying to get to the CDC to see if they had a cure because they thought there was something they were about to release.
Yeah.
And that could be like, okay, there's a potential MacGuffin. That's not right.
It's MacGuffin.
But you have used MacGuffin before, so that is tabletop lore.
Yeah,
that's canon.
That's canon. Yeah, you can say MacGuffin.
So there's something that a group of people might all be interested in trying to pool their resources together.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a session where you're like, hey, you guys are all a family.
Yeah.
So there's a reason for you to want to stick together.
Yeah. For me, I like the way that I see one of these going is you start, it's obviously set in like the 90s or whatever because I don't like cell phones, but like you start going across whatever road trip you're doing for a vacation and the radio like kind of stops working at some point and then they just start coming upon weird things on their thing of like something is happening in the world that we are just shut off from, like we just don't know about.
Oh, that's a really good you're on vacation when this thing happens. So the road trip is how do you get home?
Yeah. Yeah, or just,
like
I think that could be really fun, and it could like let them uncover something as they go and just like hint at it, which I think is my favorite type of storytelling. But I also, how would you do this in sort of like a high fantasy or high technology setting where like there's lots of travel mitigation? Would you just be like not doing those settings, or like do you feel like this limits you, or like how would you do it?
You have to know what kind of setting you're playing in.
Yeah,
I can't solve this for every system that exists.
Totally.
But if you're doing it in 5e, people are like, I have the teleport spell.
Yeah.
Well, you have to know the location, and it's different. So maybe you don't know it. And then you could also do like they did a spell plague, I think, in Forgotten Realms. Like, you can do magic.
Yeah.
It is not going to do the thing that you think it's going to do most of the time. Like you can risk it. So you'd have to. The part of the system of whatever like is causing this road trip thing to happen would be like, okay, your magic isn't working right now.
Yeah.
You'd have to mitigate that in some way, which means you'd have to know what game you're playing. You'd have to know what level your players are. There's a lot of what ifs and what abouts that you could get bogged down into. But I think your best bet is to choose a system that doesn't have I can just get anywhere I want if I've already been there.
Yeah. Shade and Franco, if you were going to run a game like this, do you have anything that immediately comes to mind of like, this is a problem I need to solve, or this is something that I have to do kind of thing?
So I would say, I look at a road trip game as very much, we've already discussed having the map. I think that each day they need to reevaluate their route. And I think that the GM needs to really know what's at the map. I am less concerned with, because Rio said point A to point Z. I'm more concerned about each of the points for this game than I am necessarily about the being on the highway aspect of it. Being on the highway is great, and I think that that's a chance for flavor and maybe possible distractions that can come up. And I would allow for that, but I really want to have set up, okay, you've gone from point A to point B in this amount of time. What was the situation at point A and what are you coming into at point B? So that's kind of my primary focus on this kind of game.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea that like the in-between moments. I really like the idea of, okay, you're going along the route. Yeah, the point crawl. That like you're going along this route. Maybe you roll a situation dice or an encounter dice, or maybe you just have like a thing that you use some sort of mechanic.
Have that deck of cards that we
we
talked
can do
about
that
in the
deck.
last episode.
Yeah, and then like you can, because way back when we were doing our map episode, we were talking about how cool it would be to have like a sticker book or whatever, and when something happens at a point in the map, you can like take a sticker out and like put it on the physical map.
Damn, I forgot about that. I love that idea.
Yeah, so like you're in a route, it's like, oh, the route's flooded. Let me get my little like river sticker or whatever and put it on the map to be like, this route's fucked up. Like you can't go this
I love
way.
making stickers.
So like I think that could be really, really fun. I always like making a mini game within the game so that they can also focus on that. Franco, same question to you. Anything that you're like really thinking about when it comes to like you have to run a road trip campaign.
Shit. Fuck.
What
Did you
is
just
it?
lock the door?
This truck isn't opening until you answer the questions.
Okay. So yeah, I've been thinking about a game for a while called Tataragato, which is your grandfather's been turned into a cat, and you have to take him to a mountain shrine to get the curse lifted.
Yeah.
And so I think like that is like kind of what I was thinking about in this time around, and also probably the last time we tried to record this episode is probably what I brought up. But I think it would be cool to have like like different points to go through, and then kind of like different things along the way. There was this like board game that I remember, and I don't remember what it's called, but it was sort of like you are on a journey, and then like on the way you can like do certain activities, like you can go fishing, or you can like paint a landscape, or you can do like different things. And those things like earn you points and stuff. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know this board game, but I love that idea.
Yeah, like
It's
you're
very
kind of
Oregon
like,
Trail,
Yeah,
like you get
but
points
like-
for doing stuff.
well, yeah. Versus like rather than like I'm gonna like find gold, or I'm gonna explore this place, or I'm gonna do this or whatever. I'm gonna like express myself, or like do art, or like find inner peace or whatever, which is like what the premise of that game was.
Yeah.
Oh man, you said something about your grandfather turned into a cat, and I went into like a deep brain box. A game about cats that have magical powers exploring a city after all the humans have gone would be fun. And I just came back in.
familiar.
So what the fuck are we talking about?
That makes me think of a
Straight.
game that my friend Aaron came up with that was like kind of a Yahtzee based game.
Okay.
And it was like all of the adults were gone, and so there were only children left, and so you were playing as children.
Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
Well, there was a Canadian TV show called Tribes that had that same thing. A virus killed everyone over the age of 18. So all these kids were just left to fend for themselves.
Yeah. And
I really liked Lord of the Flies.
yeah, in his game there were like cats, and they could hold on to spell charges.
Oh.
And so like that was I keep putting that every time that I have like I have I have a familiar supplement that you can find on itch.
We actually advertised it way back when it was created.
Yeah,
I
Root
think it's
Devil.
still listed on the website. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can find that.
Tabletopod.com.
Tabletopod.com. It's like a familiar supplement, and yeah, I just think about that all the time with like familiars or cats like holding on the charges.
Yeah.
Anyway, digression. But yeah, I like the idea of there being kind of like experiences and stuff. There's a game called Ryutama, which is a Japanese game. It's very cool. I like the resolution mechanic a lot. I don't think I would use it, but basically you roll 2 dice, and each of your stats is represented by a die size. And so like your strength is like a D4, and then your like dex is a D6, and so you roll them together to hit a target number.
Yeah.
And then if like it's usually like, okay, you want to like throw a rock at something, like that's strength and dex. Or if you're like, I want to push this boulder, that's strength and strength. So you're rolling your dice twice to affect that, which I think is a fun resolution mechanic. I actually don't know if I quite like their their travel mechanic, because I think it's a little bit like too sort of skill checky, which like I'm not a huge fan of in general. But they have sort of like, here's some weather effects, here's some other stuff that happens, which I think is also very useful in a travel game, is like weather effects. Like think about like events.
Just in
and stuff
general,
like that.
random tables I think would be really useful in a travel game.
Yeah. Like even like terrain and stuff like that too.
Real quick before we get to that, because I think that Shade's about to say something interesting. Why don't we take a quick break, get a breather,
get a pit stop?
Yeah, well, let's take a pit stop. I see
you
a
guys like
Subway up
sheets?
there.
Oh,
Sheets.
I guess we can go to Subway.
Sheets.
I like sheet cakes. All right,
Sheet
why don't we go get some Subway out of our little truck that we're in, traveling past Worcester?
Oh, look, the back door's wide open.
there's
Frank is gone. Where is he?
Bye, suckers. I'm going to Quiznos.
All right, we'll be back right after this. Hey everyone, it's me, Nick, from the Tabletop Podcast. When I'm not hosting, I'm thinking about ways to create a better podcast for you guys, and I think I landed on something pretty fun. In fact, if you go to our Patreon at patreon.com/tabletop and join for as little as $1 a month, you can get access to a new episode a month that we're going to start putting out. In fact, we're going to be calling this one Wild Magic, I think, in that we're going to talk about anything and everything that interests us, not just TTRPGs, though there will be a lot of that. It is truly unhinged, and if you are a fan of the podcast and all of the hosts, you're definitely going to want to be on it. We're thinking of dropping these at the end of each month, so join our Patreon today. That is patreon.com/tabletop. Oh, and there's going to be so much more coming out in the new year there, so don't miss it. Sign up today. Welcome back, everyone, to Tabletop. We are in a car fleeing Worcester after a crazy Quiznos Subway war.
Yeah,
that
I've
we
made a
incited.
huge mistake.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I knew that their baguettes were hard enough to brain someone.
I know. I've never seen someone stake a Quiznos employee with a baguette before, but
it's
man.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Quiznos guy was ready.
Yeah, and also a vampire? Not sure about that.
Yeah, it was really
Sandwich vampire.
It was really
Well,
weird.
garlic bread.
They just jumped over the counter and they were like, "Finally, I'm ready for this." They were like fully strapped to the nines.
I know.
It was nuts.
Was crazy.
So I think they got it.
Yeah, they're fine.
I don't think they need our help.
So before we were talking about what we would do, like our first considerations when we go into a travel game, something that I wanted to say, but Shade, you were going to talk
Please,
first.
go for it.
Okay. I will. Huh?
Shade's gonna forget.
No,
Shade will not let me touch the radio.
I don't lose my stuff.
Wow.
War.
I feel so attacked right now.
I'm sorry.
I wonder
was
why,
just saying.
though.
I was being nice to you this episode.
I'm really sorry. I wasn't saying you. I was just saying
The reason
travel,
we had to re-record this is because Shade and Rio fought each other
too hard.
They like, and we ended up crashing our first car, and so that's what
And
happened.
that's why we were in Worcester for a little while. 'Cause
Yeah.
we had to rent a new car.
Yeah.
This is a rental. Anyway.
Yeah, we're fucked.
Wait, so
The thing that I wanted to bring up is maybe
fast
like
food
a...
chains are at war with each other, but rental companies are still operating?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah, Rent-A-Center, the only safe haven.
I mean, we thought that the subway was going to be fine.
Yeah, because you basically just rent the meat. You know what I mean? Anyway, so
that sentence.
So let's keep going. The thing that I wanted to talk about this, just like always to me, is just like a stick in the spoke of these types of games. Is like if the most important thing is I want to get to San Diego to get my brother or whatever, why would I do anything except drive, hit a gas station, drive, hit a gas station, drive? You know what I mean?
That's exactly what you would do.
Yeah, but then there's
My
very
job is to
little-
stop you.
But you don't have control over things like environmental hazards, bad weather,
Sure,
the road
when's
being
the
out,
last
and you
time-
needing to find an alternate route.
Me and Rio were on a road trip, and there was a flash thunderstorm, like huge torrential storm.
Oh,
And
yeah.
also we had gotten very little sleep, so we stopped at a hotel. We didn't plan that.
That hotel was full of adventures.
Yeah.
That hotel was completely empty. It was great.
All right, so
Yeah.
you have
You were the bellhop. It was wild.
Yeah, it was really weird.
so this is the thing that I foresee for myself. In
Oh
these
shit, there's the
situations.
hotel right now.
There's the hotel right now.
Keep driving, Shade.
Is that Franco in the window?
No. Keep driving. Keep going.
Wait. That's a wild sign. He says it's not me in the car. That's I gotta stop real
I
quick.
said it's not me. I'm me.
Yeah, I know, but that sign clearly says it's not the real you.
Oh,
Shane,
so
let's just keep going.
All right,
just
we'll
keep
just
going.
keep going.
It's
yeah, we
fine.
don't
I
want to
like-
stop for weirdos.
I like this, Franco.
Yeah, that's fine.
But the thing for me
It's
is
the one
like,
I left in Japan.
how do you prep that sort of session?
I don't know. Just it's a skill issue, Nick.
Okay.
Instinctually.
All right.
You just fucking
That's
do
what
it.
you do.
What the
you
fuck
have
do you
a,
mean?
You have a daily like, oh, I'm gonna draw a random card and we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, the road's out. You can't just drive to the next pit stop. You've got to get out and find another route.
Just a
You've gotta,
random
like,
encounter table.
So where does the mechanics come into this game? Then?
Random encounter.
Well, usually
yeah,
on
the
the
pit stops,
roadside.
there we go.
Yeah, the pit stops. Yeah.
The pit stops.
So we were all joking about mechanics. As in, yeah.
Wow.
Man.
I mean, well, if you find like a little town, a little quiet village or something
Oh
too,
my
you know.
God,
you
I hate all of you so much.
So, so no, but
God
you
is
know,
ass.
thank you for doing it.
Thank you.
So you know, you need to throw in those roadblocks. We were talking about having the
I just realized that nobody will know why I reacted like that. It's because it's a stupid Beauty and the Beast reference. that
Every
they
time.
No, I think
reference
everybody
every
understood
time.
yeah,
it.
everyone knows.
Does
Every- this
everyone?
point-
Okay, put it
Everybody-
in the chat.
everyone
I
knows
want
in the
emails.
chat.
I want emails. Send me on
if
the
you've
contact
heard
form.
me
if you've-
reference this a few times before.
Listen, Shade has been referencing them constantly over
About
the last
every
2
other
years
episode,
of
yeah.
podcasting. But did anyone know that reference, or is it just?
I knew it when he said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel so gaslit.
The first
right
time,
now.
Honestly-
the first time he said it, and you were like, "I don't understand." I was like,
I
"Oh yeah,
think-
he's doing the thing."
I think this may be an age gap.
yeah.
Oh, it's because he's only 25.
Because he's just a little baby boy.
That's why he wasn't
you're a
allowed to.
baby.
Yeah, one of us had to rent the car because he wasn't allowed
because
to.
I don't have good credit and I'm 18.
Anyway, back to this.
I have the perfect driving record because I don't drive.
That's amazing.
There was like a cop pulled me over because I ran a red light once, and it was like,
So you don't have a perfect record.
No, I don't. It was just the one time. He's like, I'm going to let you off because you have a perfect driving record. And I was like, great, this is the second time I've driven.
Wow.
I think I
ran a red light one time too because my brakes went out and I was terrified.
Yeah, I was terrified too. I
Once-
was also like 25 and stuff. Like I wasn't like 16 or something like
Once
that.
when I was
So it like the
16.
second time I drove.
So when I was 16, I was driving my dad's old like Jeep that like one time I literally had to hold the door onto the car until I made it home because it was falling off. This time,
You know what was funny?
power
I used the
steering-
best like
steering
arm
fluid,
strength because my
failed.
car had no
And
power
so I had
steering.
to
So
grab
I had
the
to
wheel
constantly
with both
manhandle. I
hands
was
and
so
just,
strong
like, throw
back when I
all
was
my
like
weight
18,
trying to make a
19.
turn into my driveway. Otherwise, could not turn.
What the?
Other cars are available.
Amazing.
So hey, there's that motel again.
Man, I'm so glad that we're in this.
We were talking
beautiful
about
Chevy.
We did.
Bolt.
Yes. I'm
But this is electric.
This episode is 90% bit.
yeah, it really
What are you
is.
talking about?
Okay, I think
Didn't we already drive by it?
Yeah, we're in a big roundabout, and Shade is too polite to let anybody else.
See me on a roundabout. He actually just recently
I love
took a
actually.
car trip with me. How'd
I
that
feel
go,
like
buddy?
I feel like that was a pretty
Yeah, I
apt
don't
joke.
remember.
Can you
You
can
don't
you guys
remember? Well, he
imagine Shade
slept
just
through it.
never getting off of the roundabout
totally could,
because other people are just getting off?
I do.
And it took you like 10 rotations to get off of it.
I just know what I'm
Can
doing.
we all? This is great. This
Oh,
is
okay.
You do speed. I
Oh, God.
never would have pegged Shade for like a speed demon.
It's like the
Small
only thing he's risky
stretches
about in his
and-
life.
I know
and then
what I'm
we,
doing
like,
on
I got into a
county
car
road
with
on the
you.
highway. It's all good.
I got into
I
a
don't
car
do
with
that
you.
in
And
a
I'm like, are we driving 90 miles per hour
Yeah, no.
down this road?
Shade, that's
To be fair, I
Nuts.
also am a speed demon, but
Yeah. So
okay.
So
All right.
you have
well, yeah,
driving
that's not what I'm
aside,
talking.
so we were talking about in another episode.
Driving aside, though,
Oh my God.
the thing about it too is like, how do you make it feel not
cards?
like
We talked about
the
similar
GM
things
is just
before.
manhandling you
random
into
events,
you know
tables,
what I
things
mean?
like that.
I don't know.
Certainly help.
I don't know.
I had mentioned that you really want this to be about the pit stops, because the between point A and point B, some random stuff to try and lure them into hooks. Like you see a car broken down, looks like they need help. You see
a person run out of the woods with 5 black figures, like with no features, like running behind them, and you're like, oh, do I want to stop and see how
no, it's like,
5 shadows?
Yeah, exactly.
Death Road to Canada does this. It's like, do you want to try to do a medicine check to help these sick people, or do you want to use your own first aid kits, or do you want to just drive past them? It's like the driving past them is the safest option, sure, but you're not gonna get rewards, or like the mechanics come from the things you can find along the way.
And then every time that you skip an event, the next thing might get worse. Like you're like, oh, I'm going to avoid the 5 shadows coming out of the woods. And then the next time you're like making a stop or something, or the next time you have to like camp out somewhere, right? 20 shadows appear in the from out of the darkness.
There were 5.
Yeah, exactly. Like things get like progressively worse.
So in this case, would you say like that you have a series of events, like maybe on a table you generate before the campaign starts or something, and they all have their individual clocks that are running, so if people don't deal with them, they get worse and worse and worse, or whatever.
You could do that.
Love clocks.
I also think like
the only thing we all agree on.
Yeah, that's right. I also think that like at the pit stops themselves, that's a chance for you to, you roll into this town. There's a motel there. You see Franco, even though he's in the car, he's also in that, bellhop uniform right there. That's, a kind of thing to engage your players can engage with it or they won't. But this is stuff that can, help add some slowness to the game.
It'd be great if you don't interact with that, and the next day you get up and Franco's missing, and you look at the hotel window, and now the bellhop Franco and car ride Franco are both just staring at you.
Just slowly. Well, no, we have a third one, but they now have 2.
There's another
Every time
one.
he comes to this motel, he checks in, but he also doesn't
Never checks
check out. Yeah.
So because this is the
Funny joke.
I feel
really good.
I feel like a broken record, and it's just because I'm not quite getting, I think, what I need to run.
Well, Nick, I guess we just won't. I guess you're just not going to have to fucking.
You're just not running.
I guess you're just not
running
running
this
road
one.
trip.
I guess you just don't want to do it.
What is it about this episode?
No, I'm
Twice.
There's one other thing that I want to kind of pick on though, which is like
Pull this car over, Shade.
which is I think that all of this is great. I can already picture sort of my version of what I would do. The thing is that I've also played with our 8-person group quite a bit.
That's why you got to stop doing that.
Stop playing with us.
Yeah,
Stop playing with 8 people. That's insane.
But if you were to have a group of people pull up to a thing and all they innately care about is getting to the end goal, then what incentivizes them to have the small adventure in this town before the mechanic fixes the car and they leave?
It's losing resources. It's the mechanic is able to fix the car, but he's going to need something that you don't have.
Fetch quests.
Fetch quests, things like that. It's you get here and someone comes down with an illness. It's the you get here and someone sees an opportunity for themselves. So this is another thing and this is the thing that I did not forget that I wanted to talk about having at the start of this, and that is individual goals. So having a group goal is great, and I like to have, in my mind, for a road trip, 2 levels, hierarchies of individual goals. Individual goals for the character specifically, like the character is, okay, we're going to go on this road trip. I know that we're going to go to this place, and along that path, we'll hopefully be able to also pick up this thing that I was hoping to get. I know that...
it stops along the destination. Yeah. Like, we need to go to the water tower because I left this thing buried there and I need to pick it up before we head out of town.
Precisely.
Oh, yeah. Like in the D&D movie when Holga went and stopped by her ex-husband's house or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, go talk to Bradley Cooper. That's
Bradford
a
Cooper
character thing, but I also want a player goal.
Whoa.
And that player goal needs
to have
be
fun.
Yes, it's to have fun. But I want to, and this is something that when we've talked about this before, This is just a thing that I want, not thing that you have to have. I think that in traditional road trip media, the characters come out changed at the end. Does that happen every time you get on a road trip in real life? Absolutely not. Of course not.
Happens to me. I
We joked
have
it
been
was,
on that.
it was all a bit.
Road
It was
trip.
all a bit, so I'm really sorry.
Every time I'm on a road trip, I always change.
Yeah.
Because
Change clothes.
Yeah, I'm different.
Yeah.
Because then
New clothes, new me.
I'm a different person.
I'm trying to be
I have new cells.
friendly with this.
I really wanted to road trip with Franco again. We did a trip from South Carolina to Boston. It was a fun day. It was a fun trip.
It was a day?
Well, it was a 26-hour trip.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a lot going on. We grew our friendship, got closer.
We stopped at that motel, or it was a hotel.
We stayed at the hotel.
Yeah, the one we just passed.
Yeah,
We drove places.
Took a nap.
He learned he'll never get in a car with me behind the wheel. I learned that it's not like riding a bicycle. Lots of things were learned.
So, this is something that I want to have in the game where your player says, I would like this for a chance. Maybe these are pre-established characters, maybe they're not. For this character to go through this change. I want them to to come out the other side of this. Now, that should be a goal and not a guarantee.
Sure.
It should be something that while they're along, you kind of brought this up, Franco, while they're along the way, there's an opportunity to stop and do some art and things like that. So there are like trackers to see how they get to that goal, what transformation happens to them.
Oh man, I do have just like a game in my head now that I want to run, which is just basically like you're on a summer vacation trip with your friends going across the country. It's good, like maybe college is on the other side or something. You start going, something happens in the world that is like apocalyptic or whatever, but not immediate. So like just weird things start happening. But before all of that happens, you have them write down like what their list of like the end of summer road trip, like list that they want before they go to their college. And maybe they don't see their friends as often.
Bucket
They're going
list.
to different colleges in California or something. And then you have all of those things. And by the end of the game, you're like, what of those did you check off? What of those do you think don't matter at all anymore?
Oh my God, I have a great pitch.
All right, pitch
Okay,
it.
listen to
go.
this from beginning to end. I think it's going to be really good.
Can I go from end to beginning?
If that's how you hear.
It's the way back from the road trip.
Great.
So okay, everyone's traveling together on a road trip.
Just like us. Beep, beep.
Yep, something happens. Everyone's stuck. Everyone
Traffic.
knows,
Ugh.
like tin candles. Yeah, this is the end.
Oh,
You don't have
that was a sharp turn.
the thing happened. The meteor hit Earth. There's a fallout. You have 5-10 years, but like this is the end.
Yeah.
Your characters have a bucket list of things they want to accomplish before the ultimate
so they're
end of their
going
lives.
across like
So
in
they're
their-
going across. They're doing the road trip to try to hit their things to see if they can die happy or die miserable
or somewhere in between.
or somewhere in between.
I think it would be kind of cool if like the world is going to end. We all know this. I've always wanted to go to the mega laser tag complex in Woburn or whatever it is. And like,
Your
that's
road
an
trips are
episode.
so
We've
close.
already passed that exit.
Yeah, sorry guys. I didn't mention this until then. But like then it could be just like going from place like to instead of having the spokes that come off the main hub, which is the trip, and the spokes being the pit stops are actually the main thing and the spokes are getting between them.
Right? Yeah.
Kind of like a normal campaign or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I think that's fun. And then at
very
the end
fun.
of each episode, they could be like, this is the next one that we're going to do, like we're going to go for as a group. And that allows you, the GM, to plan.
But also a less depressing version of that is if you did like a D&D campaign that was like the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. It's like you're adventure, like you're young people. Here's the map of the world. Where are you going?
Also starring Rory Gilmore.
Is
Also-
that movie actually a road trip movie?
No.
No, but it's about the relationship as these people drift apart.
Okay.
And go different places, and they send the pants to each other. I was like,
Yeah.
this could be like a thing where like all of these friends decide to just go to these places together, and so you plan out your. Again, it's like the
I always-
the pit stops are the point of the adventure.
Yeah.
But you plan out where you're going to go, and then all these things happen while you're there and in between you're traveling.
That feels like a really good way to bring in these mechanics, because during the in-between episodes, you bring in the travel mechanic. Oh, the bridge washes out or whatever. What are you going to do?
Yep.
You plan all that, as well as like, this is where we're going next. They decide that as an RP group or whatever. I think that could be a really good way to run one. That would just be fun.
Yeah, and I think that, another direction you can kind of go with all this is I really love interstates and highways myself.
Carpilled.
I've been to his house. He's got photos and maps. It's all over. He's an interstate fiend.
It just
Pavement princesses.
Pavement princess.
Infrastructure is very important, and
Infrastructure is very important.
No.
Spoken like a true government employee.
Paid for by the oil lobby.
Yeah.
So no, I just
Brought to you by Build Back Better.
It's how you have a connected society, and off-road
Car-dependent society.
Yes, this is true. I would prefer to have trains. But
did you know the real reason that America was getting good trains in the early 1900s was so the iron would keep the Fae locked in their forest?
You said, yeah, we all know. I was like, I'm waiting until you fucking say
the first presidents were like, oh, we got to crisscross the country with iron.
Was like, I'm going to keep those fucking fairies trapped in the Fae realm.
Sorry, so that's why we're trying to, and then we were like, the human, and then the human Fae War happened around 1920, and we were like, we don't need these trains anymore.
The roof of this car has the word gullible written on it.
I know.
So yeah. Anyway, back to my very Biden sounding thing that I was saying. Love trains. Interstates are great, but I really do like side roads as well. But I think that in a mechanic like this, you can have
Pick a lane.
Interstate. The right-hand lane, unless I need to pass.
That's
this guy. Watch out for Shane. He's going fucking 90.
You know what? I got a disclaimer at the end about that. I go 90 to pass. I don't go 90 the whole time,
How do you
guys.
pick out all of the small animals and people that you hit out of the grill of your car?
This guy's blasting 90.
Oh, man. This is the thing, Shane. Is that
Fucking
last episode,
hitting deer.
even though it was my birthday week, I was blasted.
Yeah.
Now we're blasting you for
Yeah,
no
I
reason.
know. I'm good. I'm not worried.
It cometh for both of you.
So
I think I've got mine.
we get Rio pretty regularly.
I'm
Franco,
immune.
you're
You're immune?
Nobody.
okay, let's shut this thing.
We're gonna shift real quick.
Nobody ever gets me.
Yeah, sure.
Franco's too chill and laid back.
Yeah, I'm immune to
As soon as
embarrassment.
you started trying to blast him,
that's what you meant.
he would just roll into it.
I also don't give a shit that you're saying.
I know. I don't do anything wrong. You can never get me.
Yeah. So anyway, what I was trying to say is that if you, on this kind of road trip thing, you have this primary path. And if you take that is the most expeditious and safe. But if something happens and they decide to take a side path, that's where the weird dangers and the uncertainties and the chance of getting lost comes. And I think that that's a mechanic that I would want to work in as well.
That's what Waze tells you, you know? Mm-hmm. It's like
This
Waze
is also
pops up
why
and it's
I
like,
would
take a side road.
I would set it in like fucking the 90s. No Waze, no MapQuest.
No Waze. No Waze.
I would just, like, for me, even if it's in a fantasy setting, I don't want any sort of guidance. I want them with a map.
So no
You could
clerics.
test this in the early 2000s too, because one time I got lost coming back from Atlanta. I ended up in Alabama, and I lived on the other side of the state of
kinda
Georgia. There's a lot of I'm in the middle of the story. So I lived in Swainsboro, which is on the eastern side of Georgia.
I kind of
and then Alabama is on the western side
slowly
of
just
Georgia.
fade out.
and Atlanta's is about in the center. And I'd gone to Atlanta for
Atlanta's
the day.
in like the north center.
And on my way back, I ended up in Alabama
That's
instead
the wrong
of.
way.
You had to go the wrong direction because C-75 and 85 are the same in Atlanta.
Our audience is asleep.
And then they split, but I didn't catch the split, and I was too scared to get off the road.
Hey, man.
So I just stayed on 85 until I hit Phoenix City,
You're
Alabama.
confusing Shade because he has missed the exit.
No, I'm good.
And then
Where are we at this
But
point?
but there was no MapQuest or anything at the time, so I had to call home to get someone to look up directions and then tell them to me, and then I remember them in my brain space
We just
where my
passed through
ADHD lives and go back. I didn't get home, like I had left at like 8 o'clock that morning. I didn't get back at like 2 o'clock in the next morning.
Wow. First time Jackie and I went on an actual date.
You almost died. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Different thing.
But that was a different thing.
This episode is all 90%
So actually,
bits.
let me tell a quick story about Shade.
okay.
And then Shade will tell his, and then we'll
Sure.
shut down. But this is a quick story about why. Actually, even though he's a speed demon,
I'm really
I
not.
trust,
Fucking speed freak.
I trust Shade because he was telling me
Gas
that
guzzling.
when he was moving to Massachusetts,
yeah.
Jackie and him were in a car. They were behind sort of like a 18-wheeler
remember this.
construction vehicle.
Oh my god, yeah.
A huge like metal
A chunk of its engine the size of my torso.
Yeah, basically got thrown off that car, hit the road behind them, and Shade had to make a decision of, do I swerve? Do I slow down? And he was like, no, this thing is bouncing. If I slow down, it's going to crash into our windshield. He sped up, went under it as it bounced
remember
over
that.
his
No,
car.
it went under us.
Oh,
I got it
okay.
because it wasn't going to be high enough to bounce over our car at
Yeah.
any point,
Yeah.
but it was high enough to go right into our windshield.
Yeah.
And so I had to get it centered because left or right, it would have been through the floorboard and taken off one of our legs and killing one of us. And so I accelerated it, got it underneath, kept it center, and we just lost the car, but we were perfectly fine. I was able to...
You lost the car?
Yeah.
What do you
car
mean
didn't
you
make
lost
it.
the
Like it
car?
took out
Totaled.
all the there's no salvaging it. Like I was
Wait,
able,
what part of the
Everything
car did
under
it
the
hit?
car,
it took all this everything
The
underneath.
undercarriage.
Yeah. It just didn't take
Imagine
like the
looking
floor
down
away
and
from us, but
seeing
like
the
all
car,
the
The
road.
tire?
like the no, not the tires, but like between the tires. So like the
Oh man.
The axles.
The
axles.
gas,
The
like
muffler,
lines, everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
and
You're on the highway?
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't a highway.
It's
It
like
was
a route.
2-lane, one-way on a cliff as well.
She said, did you know that you were on the highway to the danger zone?
I'm always on the highway.
This is the thing, is like, there are many times in our lives where we're like, oh, like this is when I would level up in D&D or whatever.
Yeah.
You probably heard like a dinging of like, ooh, level up.
I mean, it was
Your driving skill has increased to 2.
it was definitely
Exactly.
one of the calmer moments of my life, honestly.
Really?
I love talking about this while we're in a car behind a semi right
Oh,
now.
hey,
Crazy.
it's okay. It's
Is
just
Franco
moving a little
driving
weird.
us?
Yes, Franco driving.
I'm not
us.
driving.
No, I just
Franco's never driven a day in his life.
yeah, but I thought I
Except for
just
those
looked
2
in the
times when he ran red lights.
I just looked in the side as we passed, and I swore it was you, Franco.
I can't drive.
You have a final story, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
Oh, I was just gonna say the first time Jackie and I went on a date, I borrowed someone's car, and in our very small college town, totally got lost. Even though I knew the way to where we were going.
He was just so nervous.
I was super nervous.
He had a girl in the car.
Yeah.
Girl car.
What are you gonna be married?
Yeah.
Are you gonna marry this person?
You used to have a crush on your wife.
This guy likes his wife.
Fucking A. All right, that was tabletop. That was road trip.
Was it?
Honestly, it had a wild magic vibe, which I was kind of into.
Yeah, it did. Might
but
be actually better there.
I think we learned a little bit about ourselves and a little bit about this small
American
truck world
road.
trapped in. Yeah.
And the importance of infrastructure.
Yeah, and don't speed, kids. Honestly, seriously, don't speed.
Children listen to this.
Whoever's listening,
Let's check the analytics.
Do not
people
speed.
don't speed.
Stop
When I say
driving.
I'm going 90, I'm being facetious. I'm not.
Take a
I'm
bus.
not. He was going 90 miles an hour.
We were passing someone.
All right, everyone, we're going to close this thing down. If you like Tabletop, you can subscribe. It helps a lot. You can also find us on Instagram and on Twitter or X or whatever it is now. If you would like to, just type in Tabletop or Tabletop Pod. It will get you there. You can also go find us at our website, tabletopod.com, where you can actually send in a contact form that reaches us. We read every single one, so feel free to do that. And for all of our new listeners, welcome. And for all our old listeners,
We're also on Discord.
I'm so sorry. Oh, yeah, we are in Discord.
For the new ones, it's not like this usually.
I promise it's not like this.
I think it is.
Yeah, it kind of is like this.
All right, we're going to Tokyo drift out of here.
Yeah. Skirt. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Do a barrel roll.
Bye.